Oh, that's funny. I had a 3/8 drill bit just sitting over there, and I wanted to show you this drill bit case. Is from DeWalt, and this black bit does not swivel up. How some cases this swivels up. All you do is lift up on the drill bit, pull it out, put it back in at an angle, push it down, and the backside ones are positioned so you can pull it straight up in between, push back. I kind of like that. That's slick, very nice and easy. But see this big drill bit here? If I use that, I'm sorry for the sniffles, by the way, but when I start working and bending down a lot, that's kind of what happens. If I put a big one in there, it's still going to give me a little bit of a curve here. That's 3/8, so I'm going to try my 1/4 inch. My 1/4 inch drill bit, and I'm going to drill down in there, sink it in, and then that's my staging area, and then I just go pull down on it, and it will eat that up. You thought you'd seen it all, but you haven't. Now granted, I have to dig it all the way in, but if you look at some of your strikes, plates and stuff, you'll notice that they go down deeper in some than others. And if I really wanted to, when I get all done, I've got to end up ultimately taking out all these strike plates for the painters. And when I do, I have to make sure, I can't just take them all out and throw them in a box and then put them all back up, because every latch strike plate in this house I've been looking at, I've been making adjustments on some of them are fine. Maybe they've been adjusted before and I don't know it and they're fine the way they are. If I just throw them all in a box and put them all in, none of my doors are, some of them are going to chatter a whole lot, some might not close all the way, and all that. So once I have them all adjusted, if you get ready to paint your door jambs and stuff, I would suggest taking the strike plate off first. Make sure you mark them all, okay? That's what I'm going to do when I get done today, because the painters are going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to sink this in right into the wood, the 2x4 behind there, not because the door jamb is only 3/4 of an inch. Now I'm in there, I'm at an angle, okay? So now, actually I'm into the sheetrock right there, aren't I? The first 1/2 inch is sheetrock. So I've got to dig it in over here. And get right into the wood. Okay, now I'm in the wood. Now I can just push down on this a little bit more and use this edge as a cutter. Since I'm doing that, I'm gonna go over to the right now. Look at that. Right down on it. Little bit. Come across. I got that really good. Now I'm gonna hit over there a little bit more. Drag it in there. Push down on it. That's why you can't use a thinner drill bit. You could snap it off. See there? Good Lord. Now it's all about looks. Might as well shave off that. Okay. You see that? That didn't take me very long at all. But see what it does to the back side of that? I've got that gouge in there. That gouge is not going to do anything, right? It's not going to hurt anything. But what I'm going to end up doing, when I take the strike plate out, I've got some caulking here. I always carry caulking with me. See how nice and straight that is? See how low it is? It just dug that out like nobody's business. Once I take that out, I'll put some caulking in there if I want. I mean, I don't have to. Ooh, wow, that drill bit's hot. Because I was using the side. See See, that's how the side is supposed to be. And for your drill, the only thing that's cutting is the tip of it. And then this just drags it out, pulls the wood out and all that kind of stuff. Let's see this one now. This one used to be the same. Where am I? Here we are. Even though I use the side of this, that's really not the cutter. When I'm drilling into metal and into wood or whatever, I'm just using the tip. I don't care about the side as much. Okay? So now I got to clean up those burrs, remember? I thought this was only going to be a 5-minute video, but hey, my loss is your gain, and that's part of my work, is making these videos for you, so I don't mind. It's going to take me a little bit longer today now, because I really showed you quite a few things to do on this, didn't I? Look at that. Now, see how there's slop in there? That's what this... I never should have messed with this strike plate, the tab. And on this one, I think I showed you. The tab there, it's got a groove in it right there, from here down. You see that? That's where I can get my screwdriver and put in there. And I bend out on that. Lots of the strike plates, they just started doing this fairly recently, but they used to only have the tab without that groove. So the only way, and once I tilt that out, that's gonna fill in that slop of the door, and that's gonna, like right now, the latch, when it closes, it hits there, but there's so much gap here, it just goes right there. So as I lift that out, that's gonna take that up, so when the door closes, it's gonna be closer up against the door stop. Does that make sense? And years ago, they didn't even make this tab. They had just a strike plate. And you look, lots of doors today still have strike plates with no tabs, the older ones. And then you're like, well, how do I fix that, Joe? Well, you either take that strike plate to the store and try to line it up, because there's other strike plates that are taller. There's a T strike plate, and there's some that don't match this exactly. Take this one to the store and line it up, and you'll get one that has the tab that I'm talking about. Another way you could do it, if you didn't have the tabs, is on the door jamb. You would get some felt bumpers or something, and you could put those, or there's little clear little tabs, round bumper things where you put on the actual door stop, and you would just put one there. You could put one down at the bottom, put one up at the top, and they're called door silencers, or something for cabinet doors. Lots of times you can do that, on cabinet doors like this, or drawers. See, on the back side of that cabinet, see, it's right there. This one happens to be cork. That's a silencer. And they decided just to put them on the bottom. So when you close this, it's not supposed to make as much noise as hitting wood on wood, But if you see that, hear that? This drawer is actually hitting the top of the bottom edge of the countertop. And it looks like it's just right there. And I can see there's a slight gap on this side. This one's tight. So I'm gonna have to make a note of that, and I can see that there's a little rub mark on there. I could loosen up the screws to this face on the inside, and maybe there's enough slop to push this down. That's not part of this video. Okay, that's gonna be some other time, but that gives me something as a reminder to do. Okay, so I'm gonna take my screwdriver, put in there, pry that out a little bit. It's less. still a little bit there. I'm going to do it a little bit more. That. And if it didn't have the notch, okay? If it didn't have the notch, in order for me to do that properly, I'd have to undo this again, take my pliers on the back side, bend it out, put it back in, hope that I adjusted it just right. If I didn't, I'd have to take it back out, try it again. There's a lap. See? Okay, still a little bit, but not as much. And if you go too far, maybe if you adjust that too far, maybe this goes in, but it doesn't come out all the way because the back side of your little tab is hitting it. So there's a happy medium there. You do it a couple times, you get it figured out. Okay. Good Lord. I only want to do this so far. I don't want to go out too far. Because then that could prevent this from going in all the way. Look at that. What happened there? What happened there? Oh. No, that should be okay, but because I went down so far, jeez. Good grief. The tab on the strike plate is up so high, some of the latch is falling off the tab. See? Not liking that. What's happening here, Jackson? Look at that. After all of that, I should say, I think what's happening, it should still, I've never had this happen. I think because I tapped it in so far, it's not allowing the latch to go in all the way. That's what's happened. And I can do this and be careful with that only because I'm not hitting the entire tab back because it's got that notch in it. If it was the ones without that notch, see what? I'm not liking this. Yeah. I should have left it alone, huh? Usually you're not going to have this happen to you because you don't have to ream out. It has to do with because this strike plate is up so high. I mean, the other thing I could have done, and I saw they did this on another bathroom door. They had the same issue. They took the strike plate out. They mortised it out about 3/16 lower, and they actually moved this down a little bit. And then there's an area up at the top that has to be caulked. And I could do that if I had to. Okay, there, that's good. I'm not even gonna mess with it anymore. That's what's happening with that thing. It's still locking, and everything's fine with it. Okay. All right. So now, when I take this out, I'll just put some caulking back in there and be done with it. Okay. I think you got enough thoughts and ideas when you have an issue with your strike plate. I've given you all kinds of different ways on how to ring that down, or if you want to move your strike plate down. Usually you don't have to move your strike plate down. In this case, this one was an anomaly, so to speak. Okay, there you go. Whew, lordy, lordy. Well, I finally got that done. What are we going to talk about next time? Yeah, this bad boy right here. I've not been looking forward to this. I'm gonna take a stab at it. This is the door that goes out into the garage. We're getting ready to paint these doors, and even if you weren't getting ready to paint doors, you could fix this. We just had them put an alarm thing up here, but see the gap on the edge of the door, there's not very much right up in there, is there? And I can see that this door has sagged. See the gap? Now it's smaller way over there. You see how big it is over here? And I can also see on the edge of the door, see the gap down there? It's almost actually touching. And this is about the gap you want. Okay, now let's follow it up. This is an 8-foot tall door. There's the third hinge. See how big the gap is? Right in there. Look at that. So that has kind of pulled away and it's actually sagged. Now this is still latching and everything. Okay. But it's towards the lower side, and as I lift it up, there's still going to be plenty of room for it to fit in here, I believe. And I'm going to try, I've got to take this hinge off, but that hinge is a self-closing hinge. See how big it is? See that little thing that sticks out? That's holding the spring. See there's little holes in there? You can adjust that and tighten it by pulling back, pulling that pin out, putting it in the next hole. Usually you can do that with a little Allen wrench that you put in the bottom or the top of it and hold it back as a crank. Pull that out, lift back, put the pin in the next little hole to lessen the pressure. But on this one, there's no hole up there. So I've got to figure out how to get that out, because I want to take this hinge. Got to undo these hinge screws, flap this back, and because I want to put screws in here, but I don't want to put face screws in. I could put face screws in, 3-inch face screws. I don't really want to do that. I want to try to fix this by sucking this hinge in without seeing the screws. So if I started doing these screws, it's just there's going to be so much pressure on here, it's going to want to swing back. Okay, if I don't take that, if I don't lessen the spring tension on that. You follow me? And I don't want it to snap back on my fingers. Plus, then I got to push it back and then put the screws back in there and hold my breath and hope that I get it lined up just right and all that kind of stuff. So the easiest thing to do is to lessen that spring tension, I believe. I'm going to try that. If not, I'm already thinking about this. I might take my fat, thick putty knife, undo the screws, and then hold my putty knife in there, let it flap back against there. Okay, if it's not too hard of a spring tension, and then I can pull it back a little bit, grab it with my hand, push down on it, and whatever. If I can't if I can't get this little pin out of here. Okay, that's on the next video though. I shouldn't get too far. Okay, so if you want to watch that, look for it on my channel. That's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.